Natalie, what were your thoughts on the Fever's defense? Appeared to be more physical in the second half.
Exactly. They were more physical than us in the second half. Kind of dictated a little bit more of our flow, but I thought we did a great job of still navigating the matchups that we wanted. Unfortunately, we just missed. We were aggressive.
Tiffany Hayes, do you like that? That's what happens when you piss a goat off. Caitlin Clark in GOAT mode versus Tiffany Hayes and the Golden State Valkyries.
Phone them today. Tore they ass up from beginning to end. Talk about a show. A smoke show from the GOAT. Tiffany Hayes. That's what we call BTA. That's for talking crazy to the GOAT. That's for running your mouth too much.
The Valkyries came in convinced they had the perfect formula to contain Caitlin Clark. For one half, it looked like it might actually work. Then everything unraveled. The second half turned into complete chaos as every defensive adjustment failed, every answer vanished, and the crowd realized they were witnessing something much bigger than a simple hot streak. But what sparked the turnaround? And what did Najee accidentally reveal afterward that has fans buzzing across social media?
A couple things I want to point out there. Number one, Caitlin said it took us a year longer than we would have liked. And that is in reference to the fact that Indiana had not beaten the Golden State Valkyries. Remember, Golden State was an expansion team. Came out in 2025. And Indiana could not get a win. So finally, they got the monkey off the back. The second thing I want to point out is she says, thanks for booing the refs. And it was interesting in the post-game press conference, she found out that she had a technical. She had no idea that she had.
Before we move on, make sure to like this video and subscribe because you do not want to miss what happened next. Nobody expected a routine showdown with the Golden State Valkyries to become one of the loudest statements of the season. For a while, it looked like Indiana was headed for a long night. The game was physical, intense, and packed with emotion from the opening tip. Every possession felt like a battle, and neither side was willing to back down. But as the night unfolded, something shifted. What began as a gritty, hard-fought contest slowly turned into a showcase of exactly why Caitlin Clark continues to command so much attention across the league. The Valkyries had a plan. They had the energy. They had the crowd engaged. Yet when the pressure reached its highest point, everything started to unravel. By the final buzzer, the Indiana Fever had secured a 90-82 victory, but the score barely told the full story. The real headline was the message that came with it. A message that echoed far beyond one game, one arena, or one opponent. And once fans heard what was being said afterward, the conversation exploded even further.
This was the first time this year where the Fever have made a comeback. This is the first time this year the Indiana Fever won a close game. And I'm not counting the Sparks. They were up 19 points. And this was a game where Caitlin was fantastic through 3.5 quarters and made some weird plays in the last 3 minutes of the game. Made some really, really weird plays. I gotta say, like 3 turnovers, I think, in the last 3 minutes of the game.
The atmosphere inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse felt different from the moment Caitlin Clark stepped onto the floor. There was no smile, no playful energy, and no sense that she was interested in putting on a feel-good show for the crowd. She arrived with a purpose. For days, the conversation around her had spiraled out of control. Questions about her injury status dominated headlines. Critics dissected every update. Social media exploded with speculation, hot takes, and endless debates about whether she was healthy, struggling, or somehow overrated. By the time tip-off arrived, Clark looked like a player carrying all of it onto the court. The frustration was visible. The pressure was real. And every possession felt like an opportunity to send a message. Instead of responding to the noise with words, she appeared determined to answer it the only way she knows how, by taking control of the game and forcing everyone to pay attention to what was happening between the lines.
Go bomb play. It all starts out with Lexi's absolutely tenacious defense on Tiffany Hayes. Lexi is so good with the lateral movement and sticking on her defender. She does not give Tiff Hayes a minute to breathe any sort of comfort. Tiff chucks it up and it's clean, no foul from Lexi, and who comes down with the rebound? None other than Lexi, the Lexecutionator Hull. As we see, Caitlin is taking her time getting up the court. Lexi is sprinting up, gets it over to KM. Kelsey sees Caitlyn in her favorite spot, wide open, nothing but net. And there's a lot going around about this interaction right afterwards with Caitlyn and Tiff Hayes. And when you go through film, you see some stuff. Like right after she gets the shot off, Tiff kind of chest bumps her, and the internet doing internet things discovered that Caitlyn said, "Yeah, you like that?" Tiff Hayes responds with,
By the time the second half began, all of that built-up tension came crashing down on the Valkyries. What had been a competitive battle suddenly started tilting in one direction, and there was little anyone could do to stop it. From the sidelines, Coach Natalie Nakase could only watch as her defensive game plan unraveled possession after possession. The adjustments that looked promising early were no longer working. Rotations arrived a step late. Defensive pressure started breaking down. Every attempt to slow the Fever's momentum seemed to create another opening somewhere else on the floor. And that was the most alarming part. This was not just one player getting hot for a few minutes. It was an entire defense losing control of the game in real time. The Valkyries kept searching for answers, but Indiana kept responding with execution, confidence, and relentless aggression. By then, the message was impossible to ignore. The Fever were no longer reacting to the game, they were dictating it with every action they took on the court.
In our actions, I felt we got downhill, we got to the spots. I think we had some quality looks, especially towards the end. Ball just didn't fall in.
What did you think of our shot quality in the second half?
I just said, they were trying to, again, we spaced the floor pretty well. I thought we, again, attacked the matchup that we wanted. And then, yeah, it just didn't fall tonight.
What made the entire night so fascinating was that Golden State did not come into the game unprepared. This was not a lazy defensive performance, and it certainly was not a team simply hoping Caitlin Clark would have an off night. The Valkyries arrived with a clear plan, and for a while, it worked exactly as intended. Credit belongs to Coach Natalie Nakase and her staff because they clearly studied every aspect of Clark's game. They understood how dangerous she becomes in transition. They knew giving her space beyond the arc was a recipe for disaster. Most importantly, they recognized that once Clark starts controlling the tempo and manipulating defenders with her vision, patience, and ball movement, an entire defense can unravel in minutes. So Golden State made life difficult from the opening possession. Every touch was contested. Every drive came with contact. Passing lanes were crowded. Screens were fought through aggressively. The Valkyries forced Indiana into uncomfortable possessions and disrupted the rhythm that usually fuels the Fever offense. For long stretches of the first half, the strategy looked brilliant. Clark appeared frustrated as Golden State consistently denied her clean looks and easy passing angles. The Fever struggled to find flow, and possessions often felt rushed or disconnected. The physicality kept escalating, turning what looked like a normal regular season matchup into a bruising battle where every basket had to be earned. By halftime, it seemed as if the Valkyries had discovered the formula every team in the league has been searching for. They had slowed the pace, limited easy opportunities, and forced Indiana out of its comfort zone. The problem was that maintaining that level of pressure for 40 minutes is much harder than creating it for 20. And once the second half arrived, the cracks in that blueprint began to show.
Awesome win! Listen, anybody who knows the Valkyries knew this was going to be a hell of a game, a competitive game. The Valkyries is the only team in the league that reminds me of Indiana Fever, the way they play. And from last season, we saw that these two teams, they have a very die-hard attitude. And we've witnessed that from last season when we were out with Clark and we fought our way all the way to the playoffs, made it out of the first round, and then got knocked out in the semis.
What made the tension even more intense was everything that had unfolded before the opening tip. In the days leading up to the game, Caitlin Clark found herself at the center of a non-stop media storm surrounding her injury status and return timeline. Every update sparked new debates. Social media was flooded with theories, speculation, and endless commentary from people convinced they knew what was really happening behind the scenes. The conversation eventually became so loud that Clark was forced to address it publicly during a pre-game media session. While she remained composed and professional, it was clear she was ready to move past the distractions. After days of headlines and online debates, the focus had shifted away from basketball and toward narratives that seemed to grow more dramatic with each passing day. That backdrop only added to the intensity of the night. From the opening moments, Clark played with a level of urgency that felt impossible to ignore. Every possession carried extra purpose. Every reaction seemed sharper. Every challenge from the defense was met with even greater determination. Rather than allowing the outside noise to define the conversation, she appeared intent on redirecting all attention back to the court. As the game progressed, that competitive edge became increasingly noticeable. The physicality, the pressure, and the constant defensive attention only seemed to fuel her focus. It felt less like a player trying to silence critics with words and more like a player determined to let her performance speak for itself. And as the second half unfolded, that intensity started turning into something the Valkyries simply could not contain.
One assist. I'm just going to tweet this out. It's like Caitlin Clark was one assist off tying Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark was one assist off tying Caitlin Clark for the most consecutive 20-point and 10-assist games. It was a pity. Like you would have thought that she might have got it today, especially going into the fourth quarter where she needed a couple of assists and the last couple of minutes where she just needed one. For like 7 of 15, 4 of 5 free throws. She missed her first free throw of the season. If we're looking at the box score here,
then the game reached its emotional boiling point late in the second quarter. A hard-fought loose ball battle underneath the basket quickly turned into one of the night's most intense moments as Caitlin Clark and Valkyries forward Janelle Salon exchanged words following heavy contact. What started as a physical basketball play escalated into a heated confrontation, forcing teammates and officials to step in before tensions rose any further. Within moments, the referees assessed double technical fouls. The crowd exploded. Suddenly, Gainbridge Fieldhouse felt different. The volume increased. The intensity multiplied. Every possession carried extra emotion, and what had already been a physical matchup now felt personal. In many games, moments like that can become distractions. Some players allow the emotion to pull them out of rhythm. Others channel it into something far more dangerous. Clark appeared to do exactly that. When she returned after halftime, the energy was completely different. The frustration that had built throughout the first half seemed to transform into focus. The hesitation was gone. The irritation was gone. What remained was a player attacking every possession with confidence and purpose. And that is what made the timing so devastating for Golden State. After spending 2 quarters trying to disrupt her rhythm, crowd her space, and wear her down physically, the Valkyries suddenly found themselves facing a version of Clark that looked fully locked in. The defensive pressure that had worked earlier no longer produced the same results. The openings became bigger. The reactions became slower. Then came the shot that felt like a statement. Without a hint of hesitation, Clark rose from well beyond the three-point line and launched a deep three that sent the arena into a frenzy. It was more than just another basket. It felt like a response to the physical defense, to the frustration of the first half, and to all the noise that had surrounded her throughout the week. From that moment forward, the momentum belonged to Indiana.
This may have been the night that Caitlin Clark put the league on notice. I've had enough of y'all's bullshit. I've had enough. You want to hack me? You want to foul me? Referees? Whoa. Got to be more careful. I mean, this was an ugly, ugly game. It was an ugly win. But the Fever got the win, and Caitlin Clark, once again, pretty much put this team on her back.
The reaction inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse was instant. Fans were already rising from their seats before the shot even dropped because everyone in the building could feel the momentum swinging in real time. The energy shifted from nervous anticipation to absolute chaos within seconds. What had been a tense, defensive battle suddenly felt like it was tilting entirely in Indiana's favor. And the most frightening part for Golden State was that the deep three was only the beginning. Once Clark established that level of offensive aggression, the entire defensive equation changed. The Valkyries could no longer afford to defend her the same way. Defenders were forced to extend farther and farther from the basket, trying to take away shots that most players would never even consider attempting. That created a problem. The farther defenders chased Clark, the more space opened everywhere else on the floor. Passing lanes widened. Driving opportunities appeared. Transition offense became easier to generate. The defensive structure that had looked so disciplined in the first half suddenly started showing cracks. And Clark recognized it immediately. Every adjustment Golden State made seemed to create another opportunity for Indiana. When defenders pressed higher to contest the deep three, Clark attacked the openings with sharp decision-making and pinpoint passes. Instead of forcing shots, she began manipulating the defense, drawing attention and then delivering the ball exactly where it needed to go. No player benefited more from that shift than Aaliyah Boston. As Golden State's defense stretched itself thinner trying to contain Clark, Boston took control of the interior. She delivered one of her most impactful performances of the season, dominating the glass, creating second-chance opportunities, and repeatedly making the Valkyries pay around the rim. Every time the defense focused on Clark, Boston seemed to be waiting in the perfect position to capitalize. That is what makes Indiana so dangerous when everything starts clicking. Stopping Clark becomes difficult enough on its own. But once multiple defenders commit to slowing her down, the rest of the Fever roster suddenly finds room to operate. And by the middle of the second half, Golden State was no longer defending one player. They were trying to contain an entire offense that had finally found its rhythm.